And by the way, we agree with you on that particular, or they agree with you on that particular topic. Pete Finnerty is here. Pete, do you want to say something to John?
Yeah, that was a question I was going to ask you, John. It must be very frustrating to play in the league final, have such a fantastic game, and I thought it was refereed brilliantly by James Owen, and then go out again today, and the inconsistency and some of the red cards were given out was absolutely ludicrous. It's very difficult for you as a manager to coach a team and get the levels of determination, and as you said, the hard tackling and the working, if that inconsistency is in the game.
That's true, Pete, and we're trying to make Galway play a more aggressive brand of hurling within the rule book, and Andy Smith paid the price for that this evening unfairly. I presume he'll be out of the Offaly game. I think he got I don't think he got 2 yellow cards. I think he may have got a straight red in the second half, and it's disappointing from our perspective. You know, these Galway players. You know, over the years, people have been accusing Galway teams of not laying their bodies on the line. These guys are certainly prepared to do that. And as you said, like in the league final, there was a more lenient referee on show. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the match official today, like, it's a tough job refereeing, and I think people in managements and people, journalists and supporters, they don't really appreciate how much is going on the field of play for one man to keep track of. But certainly he was over strict this evening. But at the end of the day, we can't allow that to take away from the fact that Galway came down here this evening with a lot of pressure on them, huge expectations that were built up by their own performances in the league. They stood up to the test. We made life difficult for ourselves at times with some poor wides. But what I liked about our team this evening, apart from the way they finished the game, was you had young players like David Burke and Aidan Hart who had missed numerous chances during the course of the game, and they still had the backbone, still had the courage to keep firing at the post, and both of them got 2 critical points in the final quarter.
We also have Declan Ruth, as I said, John, here with us in the studio. He's a disappointed Wexford man, as you can well imagine, but he just wants to say something to you.
Yeah, I'll still say congratulations, John. But I suppose you seem to have employed a certain structure to your game plan this year in terms of, you know, keeping the likes of Ger Farher back into the half-back line. But I'm sure, even though you put up 222 today, you'll be very disappointed with some of your shooting in front of the post, and obviously that's a concern going forward. Do you agree? Or?
Yeah, there's no question about that, Declan. And in fairness, I sensed during the week, I'm a long time around dressing rooms at this stage, that we weren't in the same place as we were the week of the league final, simply because we had 2 rounds of the county championship since then. We only saw the players once a week during that fortnight. We also had injuries, and of course then you're burdened with the mantle of overwhelming favourites. But look, against that background, I'll take an 11-point victory. Of course we have huge scope for improvement, and we need to improve if we're going to take this team as far as we want this summer. But that's the challenge for the team management and these Galway players.
John, thank you very much for your time. Yes, go on.
Michael, could I just ask you one question? You used to write a punk rock column in the Tuam Herald. How's the Eurovision going?
I'll tell you, I was afraid at one stage we were going to be turning over to the Eurovision when Galway weren't going great. John, listen, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate that, and congratulations on the win again this evening.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, we have another short break coming up. More on this evening's match right after that. You're welcome back again to the Saturday Game Live. I don't know if John McIntyre is still listening to us down in Nolan Park. No sendings off, I gather, so far in the Eurovision. Pete Finnerty, your summary of Galway from what you've seen of them in the Championship this evening.
They were sluggish to get out of the blocks, in fairness, but as John highlighted earlier on, the pressure was all on them. They came down as overwhelming favourites. They haven't hurled for 4 weeks together. They have 2 weeks of the championship out of the way now, but it was a good victory, and they're moving forward now. They're into a semi-final. It's a good progression to try and get to a final to play Kilkenny, and it's on the 4th of July, Day of Independence. Anything could happen. The first Leinster title for Galway. A long way to go, but John McIntyre, 11-point victory going back home to Galway, they'll be happy.
Yeah. Declan, from a Wexford point of view, like, where do they go from here? Obviously they go out of the Leinster Championship for a start, but what have you seen this evening to give you hope?
Well, I suppose they were competitive for a long spell in the game. The thing they'll have to do, obviously, we spoke about their forward unit. They played for maybe 10-15 minutes at the start of the second half, and that's all out of 70 minutes hurling. So that's something that they can address, and I'm sure they will. The next thing, I suppose, they've got up to a bit of championship pace tonight, which they were playing in Division 2. We mentioned the different standards, so that will have brought them on an awful lot. And what they really need to know is get their collective heads together and say, right, let's give the qualifiers a good run. Let's blood a few more young lads, because it is a learning curve. There's more to come, more young lads to come. So they need to put their heads down and give the qualifiers a real go and learn from the mistakes that they made tonight.
And I suppose the other thing about it is, like in days past, you would have played a big game against Kilkenny, maybe in a Leinster final, possibly lost it in the end of the day, and maybe you've gone out of the championship. So there is a chance.
Absolutely. I mean, like they'll probably get, let's say, one of the weaker teams in the first round of the qualifiers. I'm not quite sure about the system, but you know, they have enough there to get on a bit of a run and take it seriously, and I'm sure they will. So you know, that's what they have to do. I'm sure Bonner will keep them to that.
All right, thanks for that indeed. Now, for the moment, all the discussion this evening will be about Galway's win. Declan Ruth, of course, and Pete Finnerty have been doing that very thing for the past while here on this programme. My thanks to them. Hopefully, you'll be able to join us again for more top Gaelic Games activity tomorrow afternoon. But in the meantime, do take care.